Glenn Hascall has worked on more than 150 books, starting back in 1995, and not only a veteran author and screenwriter, but he is a broadcast veteran with a lot of experience in audio drama. Now, his new book, The 100-Day Devotional for Boys, 8 to 12-year-olds can spend the next 100 days in biblical truths and real-life wisdom to inspire them in their daily lives. So welcome, Glenn.
Thank you.
So, Glenn, what message do you feel is important for boys to hear today? Because I know that we'll talk about this soon, but I know that you've actually been doing devotions and resources for boys and men for many years. But why today? What's the message today?
I really don't know that today is any different than any day in the past. I don't know that this year is different. And obviously there are differences, don't get me wrong. But I think that boys need to hear that it's okay to love Jesus and follow him. I think they need to hear that parents are worth following. I think they need to hear a lot of different things that culture normally doesn't pass on. In fact, many times they hear the opposite message, whether it's school or friends outside of school, but they hear the absolute wrong thing most of the time. And so having something like this that can encourage them to go back to those sources, God and family, I think makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, the world's going to teach them the wrong thing and maybe even the more harmful thing. And I think this is also, I see that a priority too is just that it's good to spend time with God. And I mean, 100 days, like, I love how you introduce the book, like the next 100 days, basically saying you're developing this habit. This isn't a pick it up whenever. You're really encouraging them to spend time.
Well, and I don't want people when they get to the end say, well, I conquered that. I'm finished. Don't have to do anything else. The hope for me is that it does say, we've done this 100 days. Now what are we going to do? What follows this? Because this shouldn't be the end. It should just be the beginning.
Okay, so what does follow it, Glenn?
It can be any number of things. It could be another book, but certainly it can be, and I definitely emphasize this, whether you have a Bible online, you have access to a Bible. No matter how you look at it, they are free of charge online to look at. Get into that. And so when these devotions start, it's always with a Bible verse, and that's always with a purpose. And when it's done, the idea is, everything focused around that. So get into God's Word, because that's where you're going to find it anyway. So start there.
You actually mentioned that they all start with a Bible verse. There's a lot of stories in here that are not even just about people from the Bible, which I love. And I don't know if that's kind of the broadcaster in you, or or the storyteller with the screenplays where you just want to dig into these stories. But they all illustrate these lessons. What continues to inspire you today in some way? Is there a story that really stood out for you?
I think the one of the very early ones, maybe it was the first one, but it talked about a robot on the beach in Florida that was donated and how it's used to clean things up. And that just led very easily into the idea of what God can do in the life of a young boy.
Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Sure. I think, and I'm just going by memory, I've written, 4 or 5 books since this one, but I think the robot's name was Bebo, and it was designed to basically rake and clean up plastic debris from the sands along the shore. And the idea was that no matter how good Bebo is, he's still going to leave fragments of something behind, and that's something God doesn't do. When He cleans completely. And I think that's also important, not just for kids, but the parents to read along with it to know.
Yeah. There's so many rich lessons in here. And actually, you almost just touched on that for parents, for adults. You actually started this year releasing a 100-day devotional for men. Was it your plan all along to later release an edition for boys?
Well, I've done one for teenage boys. I've done one for men. I've done one for boys. And there are other series that we've done with Barber. And basically, they reach out to all kinds of different demographics. But the idea is that everybody needs to know certain things. And we can assume, if we followed Christ for any period of time, that people already know this stuff. And often they don't. And so getting back to some simple ways of sharing good news is a perfect reason for these devotions to exist.
Yeah. And I've noticed that you have a lot in your repertoire of these devotions and even like 1 minute, 3-minute devotions. And why is that on your heart? Like what seems to be kind of the niche that you're following? Why do you feel that God's pulled you in that direction?
Okay. Well, as you have alluded to, broadcasting is in my background. Still do that. But for about 25 years, I did an on-air radio show for kids. And I've developed a wide variety of programming for kids. But the point is, when you're on the radio, I mean, you know this, when you're on the radio, you've got just a short amount of time to capture somebody's attention. Mm-hmm. So these devotions kind of played into that for me. So the stuff that I would do on the air, I knew I had a limited amount of time to take care of that. That was what happens with these devotionals. You work and go, okay, I've got just this amount of time. What am I going to say that's important enough that's going to leave an impression?
Well, and that's what this book is. 100 of these that are just going to hit you hard and a good lesson for young guys. What are some of the lessons? What are some of the themes that you're hoping to nurture through these devotionals?
I'm going to answer your question, but maybe in a slightly different way. My son is 24. But when I started writing these devotionals, there were a lot of things I wanted to share with him, things that I wanted to pass on. And so the original book doesn't say, hey, this is for Ryan. What it does say is, these are things for you and your family to appreciate and enjoy and learn from. But every single one of those things I wanted him to know. And at that point in time, I think he was 11 or 12 years old. So it's been a while since the start of that. And I've got 3 grandsons, another coming next month. But the whole idea behind that is continuing that trend. How do I continue to basically take what I want to share with my son and my grandsons and enlarge that a bit, make it available to other people to also say, well, here's some good things to it. It may not be exactly what everybody wanted to share with their son or grandson, but no, the motivation behind that was actual real people that I wanted to share these things with.
Yeah. And stories of real people that they can read too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. I mean, this is going to be a great tool for parents who just want to give. I mean, this is the whole point of the kind of Kids and Youth Wednesday bookmark is to find books that your kids will want to read that'll also help them in their faith walk. So as we wrap up, Glenn, I know you've said in the past, I saw this on your website, that your passion is using words to make a difference. So just can I leave you, or can you leave us with this? What will it look like when you have, quote, made a difference?
Boy, that's a tough one. I don't want there to ever be, it's like a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling here, but a Lifetime Achievement Award is great in that it says you've arrived, but it also means you're finished. Maybe it seems that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I ever want that to be, he said everything that he had to say, everything that there was to say, he said. I think there's always such a depth of riches in God's word that it's really tough to come away from that saying, tank's empty. I got nothing else to share. Hopefully there will always be something to share. And I guess that's part of what really motivates me.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. If you're looking for something for older readers or younger readers, there's even some kids' books that he has on the way. Again, this man has been writing books since 1995 and loves storytelling. Glenn Hascall. It's the 100-day devotional for boys, real life wisdom, biblical truths for every day. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.